Good afternoon, everyone. Let me welcome you at another MyQ's webinar. This time, we'll be focusing on MyQ Roger. So, what's the topic we have here today? As it was announced previously, we'll be talking about MyQ Roger and all its features. So, as part of this webinar, I'm about to show you what MyQ Roger can do and how you can benefit from using it at your office or at your customer. Just for information, my name is Michael Demmel and I'm a pre-sales manager and a trainer, and I will guide you through this webinar. So, last sip of coffee, and let's start with the actual webinar. For the duration of the whole event, I'm about to turn off the camera off so everyone can focus on the actual presentation. So let's look on the agenda. So what we have on the menu today. As always, we will start with some MyQ news. I will quickly announce all the things that happened recently or things or features that you can expect in the near future to arrive as part of MyQ Roger or MyQ Hacks. Then we will focus on the main topic we have prepared for you, and that's the complete presentation of MyQ Roger, where I will just show it the way you would use it at your office or at your customer, focusing on the main features MyQ Roger offers you. Now, as always, at the end of today's webinar, there will be a Q&A session. So if you will have any question throughout the whole webinar, do not hesitate. Use the Q&A button, which will be probably in the top right corner of your screen. Type there your question, and during the Q&A session, I will try to answer as many questions as I can. And always, later, when we are finished with the webinar, I will answer the remaining ones, provided there are some still unanswered, and we'll share all of those with you using our partner portal. So again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being with us here for this event, for looking about on the webinar about MyQ Roger. Starting, like I said, with MyQ news. The first new thing that appeared that happened recently are awards, or actually one award we have received. So please, drum roll. Now, both our solutions, MyQX and MyQ Rogers, were thoroughly tested by Buyers Lab and received the Platinum Award, so a Platinum Tested Solution for the year 2022, which is a perfect gift for the upcoming birthday of MyQ Roger. Another new stuff, which will be a little bit longer with much more features to show you, as the upcoming version 10.1, a version which you are now able to test as a beta. During this part of the presentation, I will just demonstrate all the features, or not all the features, all the important highlights you should know about the new version of MyQX. So quickly, what are these new things? Those of you who have joined us on the Showtime event, you've probably noticed these already, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to remind you of what is coming as a new feature into the printing solution of MyQ. Starting first with the UI improvements. Important thing is that the whole UI, the whole admin console has been redesigned, remade. Not the way that we would really change the things. So, if you are aware of how MyQ works, you would not be able to find the things. The way we changed it is that we improved the graphics. Now it's using a vector graphics, and it's much better on large displays, and it's much easier to navigate. Also, as you can see, additional graphs and additional options can now appear on the main admin dashboard. So as you can see, there are new graphs which will show you how your system performs. And of course, if you don't like these, you can change it and you can put there any other report you like. At the same time, we've introduced it also as a part of version 10, but more now focusing on that in version 10.1, and that's the option to have different models or different views. So as you can see, there's a dark theme, or there's a special theme with a high contrast for people that has some kind of issues with vision or need to use a software that helps them to navigate through this menu. And the rest is pretty much simple and the same as you've seen it before. So not a major changes that would force you to teach your people something new, or to learn new settings. Everything is as it was, just with better design, better look. An important change also appeared when it comes to the synchronization from the MS Azure AD. Now, those of you that tried before probably struggled with the thing that you needed secured LDAP with a public IP and domain services activated. Now, this thing is no longer required because with version 10.1, you can use the direct single sign-on with your Azure AD and that way and synchronize it into your MyQX. It doesn't matter if it's installed on-premise or in your private cloud. Another thing related to it is then the thing when it comes to the central server and site server communication. Basically, if the central server is installed in a private cloud, there is no longer a need to use a VPN connection to communicate with your sites. Another important thing that appeared or will appear as part of 10.1 is an enhancement of the end-to-end job security. Now, as you will know, the job transfer from the user station to our server can already be using either IPPS or using our MDC and go through the HTTPS channel. We can also encrypt the database using your own provided certificate. At the same time, the sending of a job to your machine, again, can be fully secured. But what is new with version 10.1 that you can use your certificate not only to protect the database, but also to encrypt all the print jobs that are stored in a job repository of MyQ. Next part, when it comes to server, that is a new feature of the toner replacement monitoring. We've monitored a lot of things when it comes to machines, but this one specifically has improved. Let me show you how. So let's say we've got here a machine which is lacking the signed toner. So what will happen when you will put the new one here? Simply, the machine will get synchronized with the server and new record in its database is created. Logically, that record is available in the reports. Same thing, whenever you will replace an old toner, which is depleted, the system will again create a record. Not just with the time, but more important, because we're monitoring everything which is now running in the system, also with the amount of pages you have printed on that toner. So that way, when you put a new one, again, we get information and the whole lifetime of such a toner cassette can be monitored, as you can see on here on the magenta. So we know when it was installed, when it was replaced, and how many pages you've produced to use it that specific toner cassette. That was a server. And now let's focus on the embedded, so you know what to expect with the new embedded terminals version 10.1. Again, those are things you've probably seen on a Showtime, but you know it's really important to show you what you can expect and what you can in the future offer to your customers. Same like in the UI, the first thing you will notice is a complete facelift. Now, using slightly different icons, slightly different colors, you know, all the other enhancements, like for example, you can see the buttons are now rounded. Everything is much more clear and smoother. Another thing then would be a job preview. You already know that the system supports a job preview. So basically, you can preview your print job, but that was available only on a web UI. Now with MyQ 10.1, this feature is available also on the embedded screen, where you can just get a preview of your print job to make sure that this is the file you really like to print. Another feature that will appear as part of 10.1 then is related to the easy scan and scanning in general. And when I mean scanning, I mean specifically scanning into folders or cloud storages. Because what the 10.1 will be able to do is to synchronize with your cloud storages that the user have connected or to the folders you provide them. And from these, you will be able simply to browse them, get into individual subfolders and scan the file there. Same thing is then used when it comes to printing. What I would like to introduce here as a new feature of the Easy Print. The Easy Print, as you've already guessed, does the same thing, simply synchronizing provided cloud storages or folders, so the user can just browse through it, select the file, and then just push it into the print queue directly from the panel of the device. Such job appears in a print queue, and I can now release it. Another news, again related to 10.1, isn't working on the MyQX mobile client, because there are two major improvements of the MyQX mobile client. The first one is related to a potential problem that may appear on your device. As you well know, MyQ itself is able to provide a large amount of details about your machines. So if there is a problem, if there's a paper jam, or something your people need to fix, you will be notified. But sometimes it may happen that there's an issue the machine itself cannot recognize. For example, the paper will be covered in toner or something like that. It will not be working as you expect. And for such situation, we're offering this option where your user can just use their mobile application and report that to the admin, including some photograph and some detailed description of the problem, so the admin knows that something is wrong with his machine and can fix it immediately. Another thing which appears now on the MyQ mobile client is then the print job preview. Basically, a same feature as it's on the embedded screen. So that way, when you are printing something using your MyQ mobile client, you can generate a preview of the print job. So that was everything about the news. And let's now focus on the main topic of today's presentation, and that's the MyQ Roger. Now, title of today's presentation is a small or big office. MyQ Roger can do it. Basically, my aim here is to show you that MyQ Roger can help with any problem with any office, but more important, it focuses on customers you maybe never thought that would be a customer of printing solution. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and focus on the actual presentation when I will show you all these things. So, what is MyQ Roger? Now, first, what I would like to start with, MyQ Roger is not MyQ X in the cloud. It's completely different product, which is fully cloud-based. That's true. It's a printing solution, but it approaches slightly different customers and users with different needs. The main advantage of MyQ Roger is that because it's cloud-based, that's basically available from anywhere. Using your mobile device, you can just control any machine connected to the system and start working with it. There are also some advanced features when it comes to the scanning and processing and OCR, which you can use directly from your application without actually being in front of the machine. The aim of today's presentation is to show you the most important highlights, the most important features of MyQ Roger on the device, on the mobile, and what you can do from your computer. So I will basically just demonstrate everything practically using the actual screenshots and details of the machines, of the mobile, and all the system components. So to start with, what is a MyQ Roger? Like I said, is a printing solution that is completely in the cloud. To be available on most of the markets, we are using 2 data centers for the coverage, for perfect coverage, and one is in US, one in the Europe. I'm sorry for that. Like I said, it works in a cloud, which means that when it comes to the infrastructure you will need on-site, it's actually the only thing as the machine and the user equipment. So basically the computer, the mobile phone, simply the device from which the user would like to operate. It's a multi-tenancy environment, so that way every customer will get their own tenant and will be able to use it freely, simply the way that nobody else can access their data. Another important thing is that it can be shared also by other companies, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So let's not start with the thing how to get all your users, because simply what MyQ Roger Tenant is intended for is for management of your users, to let them not only use the solution, but to establish a connection with all the connected components like additional cloud storages and other stuff, as you will see as we will go on. So how we will get our user data in? There are 2 possible approaches your users can actually use. Of course, those can be combined, provided that you need that. So first one is a self-registration, which can be done either via the cell phone or using the web UI of the tenant. Simply, they can just sign in with their Apple ID, their Google account, or a Microsoft account, and from that moment, they will be able to use the solution. For those that are really focusing on security, that could be another security measure that these users will be able to use the solution after some authentication by the admin. So admin will approve their access. So that will be for one part of the market. But of course, we're also focusing on the corporate market. So that's the logical way of how the users can get in, and that's using the Azure AD or any other connected database that can use the export to an Excel, and that way the users can be imported into our system. The already mentioned Azure AD, of course, uses a single sign-on, so you just import your users, and from that moment they can start using their resources. So that's one part, how the users can get into the system to be able to use it. Second part is how the actual print jobs, scans jobs, and everything you need to produce on your machines and mobile can actually work. So that's why there are additional components, the MFDs and the mobile phone. Another maybe really important thing I have not yet mentioned is that same like MyQ Roger really focuses on personalization. So that's why you can see not only that you can change it to, reflect the view you prefer on your mobile device, but as you will see as we will go on, it is the user who actually works and designs all the scanning options that are available for him at the MFD and at the mobile application. When it comes to the access to print jobs, there are then two different approaches. Initially, the MyQ Roger was designed as a mobile-first concept, and that's the way you can actually work using most of the features. Mobile-first means that you are using your mobile device to get access to all the features of the system. In such case, you will need to connect your OneDrive Business, or Google Drive. If you do so, the system will automatically create a special set of subfolders on your cloud-based drive, and that subfolder or set of subfolders will be used as your print queue. An important message here is that when you are managing all your print jobs, those print jobs will stay on your OneDrive or Google Drive till you will authenticate and basically release that job on your machine. For security reasons, no data when it comes to print jobs or scan jobs are stored on the MyQ Roger tenant. We only get the metadata for reporting and detail analysis, but we will never actually get access to your file. So you don't have to worry that someone will get into your data. Now, as you can see here on this slide, there's also a small cloud with two additional logos, the box.com and a Dropbox. Now, why I have mentioned these two? The reason is that if you are using a mobile application and any of these two storages, you can also use them to get your jobs into the system or to scan to these storages from your mobile phone. Important thing is that when you are then printing and would like to share a print job to your device, you cannot actually use them to create the queue. For that, you would need OneDrive or Google Drive. So that's the first concept. The concept when you are using the mobile device and control everything remotely. A concept that allows you to control everything from whenever you are. And the only thing you would need is actual connection to your internet. That can be done using a cell phone data. The second concept, won't there be on-premise print? Of course, as it is a printing solution, we have to also think about the users that do not have the option to use a mobile phone, or simply their company policy will not allow them to use their phone for printing or managing jobs. So for these users, there are also additional options of how to print directly from the computer. The first option would be a device pooling, an option you will probably know from MyQX, but don't worry, I will explain that in much more details. The whole story behind that is that we can use the encrypted hard drive of the machine and store the print job there. Another option of how to print, specifically when you are working on remote from home, or if you are on a business trip, it could be really handy to use the MS Universal Print, which is fully integrated with MyQ Roger, allowing you to get your jobs on your machine. or the last option, which has been added recently, and that's the MyQ Roger client. Now, what MyQ Roger client does is basically it, collects all the print jobs you will produce using your drivers on your computer, send the metadata into the cloud so the MyQ Roger knows about those jobs, and then when you are printing on a machine, you just authenticate and your job goes from your computer to the device to be printed. Last thing I would like to mention here is again the option to use your OneDrive Business or Google Drive. Now, there's a way to simply connect those to your account, and that way you can just synchronize them with some folder on your computer. That way you can, even if you do not have the mobile application, you can just simply print using a cloud solution the way the mobile user would do, because it will be synchronized to the folder that MyQ Roger uses as a standard print queue. And that way, whenever you come to machine, you will be able to pick up these jobs without actually using the mobile. So that will be for the beginning. And now let's focus on what MyQ Roger can offer you, all the options. And again, I will just explain that with focus on these two different concepts of printing. So with the mobile part and then the on-premise print. And I will always start with the first one, the mobile first concept, because that's the main part of MyQ Roger, giving you the large variety of features, as you will see. So let's start with the actual application. The application can be easily downloaded using the Google Play or App Store on your iPhone. Both applications are completely for free, so I would like to encourage you, if you don't have done it already, just download it to your phone and you can try it. Because if you click there on a sign in, the first thing you can see here is which account you would like to use. And if you've not used it at all, I would really recommend you to use the personal account. Personal account will automatically connect you to one of our prepared tenants, allowing you to use the MyQ Roger instantly without the need of any license. So you can just, like I said, download the mobile app and then use your personal account, register using your Apple ID, Google account, or Microsoft account, and from that moment, you are in the world of Roger and you can use all its features. The other option, which most probably will be used by all the corporate users, as the option of a work account. Then what you will have to do is just to provide the name of your tenant. Don't worry, this step might look complicated, but you just have to do it once to authenticate for the first time. So you'll just put here the name of your tenant here, and then again, you can either log in or register using the options you can see below. So if there's an option of registration, you can sign in with the Apple ID or a Google account, or if you are from a company that uses the Azure AD, which probably you will be, you will just hit sign in with Microsoft and it will use a single sign-on to get you in. So from that moment, you will be able to use it instantly. As you can see, there's also an option to sign in using your credentials, an option designed for people that were self-registered to use the web or they were synchronized from some other database. Such user, whoops, sorry, a little mistake. So let me just go to the point where I wanted to be. Okay, so such user will get an invitation email with all their credentials. And the only thing they will have to do is just provide them once here. And from that moment, they are in the world of Roger. Let me just quickly show you the navigation of the app, so what the application offers you. So at the top, there's everything about the print job. As you will see as we will go on, it's also the option to get access to your cloud storages to manage your jobs from your phone, from those cloud storages, and also here it will show all the jobs regardless where they are. So it could be a job in a cloud, or it could be job stored on the application on your computer, or a job on the device itself. Below that, those are all the scanning options. Of course, that would not have to be just 4 like that. So if you have more, you can just swipe to the sides to reveal the additional ones. It's actually one of the major differences comparing MyQ Roger to MyQX, and those are the scanning workflows or scanning options. which, unlike in the MyQX, in MyQ Roger, it's the user who actually designs what they would like to use and how they would like to use it. So we basically give them the option to create their own scan profiles using the menu of the application. Again, as we will go on, I will just show you everything here on the screen. An important thing which you have probably noticed are the recent actions. Recent actions are designed for users that would like to do something special. So, for example, they would like to change the parameters of the scanning profile on their device, and later they would like to use it again. What the recents will allow them is to get back to feature they've used before, or if there are some special change parameters, to simply create a new favorite button just by modifying the recent action. Yeah, I don't have to really mention. Below that, that's the navigation panel, and we can really skip it. Now, what's my intention to do right now is to show you how it would look when you would come to a company that doesn't use a Roger, you would like to install it, and you would like to start a print, scan, and copy. So what would you need for it? First, you would need one of the MFD supporting MyQ Roger and install the application, which can be easily done remotely, so nothing complicated here. Then, you need a mobile application where you are logged in as the admin or as a user with rights to add a new machine. Simple setting which you can do using the tenant web UI. And once it's done, once the application is on a machine and your mobile is ready, you can simply add the device into your tenant and start using it almost instantly. Now, as you can see here on the left side, which represents the screen of the MFD, there's an option to select a region, basically depending on where you are, if you are in Europe or in US. So basically which of the data centers is closer to you, that one you can connect to. And then you see there are some instructions of how to use the code through the admin web UI, but who would do that? You can ignore it completely because you've got the mobile application and you can just tap on the login button, the one with the QR code, scan the QR code of the panel of the machine, and from that moment, everything will be ready to go. Your device will start communicating with your mobile, and because your mobile has been connected to your tenant, it knows it also, so everything is now ready to go. Before we will then go for additional options of MyQ Roger, let me just quickly focus on the ways the users can log in. Again, we will first start with the options available on the mobile phone, followed by the options for the user that is not allowed or doesn't have the mobile phone. So we've already seen the first one, so I will go through it quickly. Simply, the way we have added the machine, we can just connect to the system. So I will just come to the machine, scan the QR code, and from that moment, I'm controlling the device remotely using my phone. Another option is using the NFC technology. We can offer you special NFC tags. We can also get them on the market, an NFC tag that can be easily programmed. And that's exactly what the admin can do using the MyQ Roger mobile application. So what I'll do as an admin, I'll just come here, click on Per New Tag, hover the phone over the unconfigured NFC tag, scan the QR code of the panel, and I believe that you've already guessed the rest because I will just use the sticker which is part of the tag, put it on the machine, and from that moment every user can start using their NFC to connect to the system. So they will just use the appropriate button, again hover the phone over the tag, and they're in. Last option, which is again designed for your mobile application, is an option to use a low frequency Bluetooth card reader. So if you've got such a device connected to your MFD, you can simply use it from the mobile phone. And it has two advantages. Not only that it will allow you to log into the device without actually touching it, but at the same time, it gives you an estimate of how far you from the closest or nearest device. When then you are close enough, it will also either log you in immediately, or you will have to confirm that you would like to get into that machine and you will be there. So that were the login options for the mobile. For that, we would use the already mentioned dynamic QR code. Why dynamic? Because we just do not want to have any component as a static one, because that way it could be really used by someone who would like to bypass it. That way, after a period of time, the code changes that way as really secure. Without the other options, as you've probably guessed from the screen, the user can authenticate using the username and password. They can use the PIN on the keypad, and provided you will connect an RFID card reader, you can use that. If you connect the external card reader, you can use your RFID chip or card to authenticate into the system. When it comes to the login, that's actually one last thing I would like to mention. And that is that when you are logging in using the mobile, the first thing that will happen after successful authentication is that the screen will switch into the remote control mode. Simply, the system automatically expects that as you are authenticating using a mobile, you would like to control everything using that mobile device. So you can simply start scanning, copying, and printing directly from the panel or from the display of your tablet or mobile phone. But of course, the system also allows you to switch it and to the display of the device so you can control it there. So simply by passing a control through the icon, which is now in the top right corner, and then by confirmation, the system will automatically change the control to your device, and you will be able to control it from its panel, which is a part which I will explain on the following slides. Now, before we will get into the actual UI, which you can see on the MFD, let's now focus again on the MyQ mobile application. Like I said at the beginning, the way my presentation is designed is to just show you all the options the normal user would do when they start with MyQ Roger. So that way, when this presentation is over, you can just easily download the mobile application and try everything on your own. So, what will be with the print job? Let's say I would like to print something. How would I do it? Simply, you can go here to the documents. Because we have not used it before, the first thing we will have to do is connect the already mentioned cloud service. So I'll just use the tab here, and the system already navigates me through the connect button to all my cloud storages available. The important thing is, like I said, to actually print, to use it as a print queue, you can use the OneDrive and Google Drive. There are two additional storages of Dropbox and Box here, which you can then use to manage your print jobs and to scan there using your mobile, but only the first two are actually serving as a print queue. So when we're there, we'll just select it, authenticate based on what are the security measures in our company, grant access, and from that moment, you can not only browse through your OneDrive or Google Drive, or even both if you will connect both, but more important, you can just send a print job from here instantly to your machine. So like I said, let's browse through it, let's open the folders, look for files we would like to print. When you find out the one you would like to print, it's nothing easier than just swipe to the right and the file will be ready. Of course, there's a little dialog asking you for some very basic parameters. Again, the efficiency is the most important part. So we don't want to annoy you by too many settings. So that's why you've got here some very basic parameters, after which you've got two possible outputs you can use. So it could be either to release it immediately, so if you're in front of a machine, you can just push it there, or to keep it for later. That way, the job gets copied to the already mentioned subfolders created on your cloud storage, which, like I said before, acts as the print queue. That way, you're basically covering everything there, and you are traveling with your print queue with you, because every time you will connect to the outer network, every time you will connect to your cloud storage, you can access your print jobs from both the mobile or the device itself. All the jobs you will then send to such a queue will appear on the main display of your MyQ Mobile Roger app, and as well on the machine, like I said before. Also from here, you can then simply manage them. So swiping to the right to release them, or, oops, sorry, too fast, or swipe to the left to delete it. Important thing is when you do it this way, it will automatically delete it, the copy of the file from the MyQ Roger folder of your OneDrive. It will not affect the original file. There's one thing I've not yet mentioned, and that's also the option to tap on these three little dots on the right side and to get a preview of the file. So again, if you are not sure that this is the right file you would like to print, you can simply download a preview and show it here on the mobile phone before you will release it. And then when you're at the machine and you've got a lot of jobs to print out, you can simply hit a print all. Another thing, how to print. So let's say I would like to print some files, something I've got in my mobile device. Logically, I would not want to look for some MyQ Roger application. I would not want to look for it, upload it there. What would I be doing it? What you can do is simply open your device file browser or any other way you work with your file. So you can use your gallery or open it. Simply, you will open the file or just select the file in the file browser and use the option Print via MyQ Roger. As the MyQ Roger is already installed in your system, this selection screen you've seen before will automatically appear, allowing you to decide the parameters of your print jobs, and a job will then be put into your print queue. That easy it is. Another part, and it's actually one of the most important parts from my perspective, are the scanning and the scanning workflows and copy workflows. Basically, all the options which you are used to that your admin has set for you. In MyQ Roger, it's you, it's the user who decides which options are available and how they will actually work. So, how to do it? Simply here through the workflows. As you can see, there are two options, two sets of workflows. Below that, you've got your favorite scan buttons and copy buttons, the workflows you can manage and organize the way you need. Above that, there are two special operations, the print all documents, and more important, the option to scan PDF with your phone. We'll speak about that in much more details as we will go on, but a little hint of what this is about. Basically, it's an option to use a camera of your mobile device where you can simply scan anything you want, get that processed by an OCR engine, which is a part of the application on your phone, and then you can store it to all the possible connections. So it could be a cloud storage, it could be your phone, it could be your email, everything you have defined as part of your MyQ Roger profile. From this menu, you can also, as you've probably guessed, also initiate the scan if you are connected to the machine. But that's not what interests us now. What is important is how I can modify the screen, how I can modify the actual workflows, and how I can create my own. So to reorganize it, simple, like you would expect from any other mobile application. You just tap it and move it to a new position, or just get it back if you realize that it will be better there. To create a new one, you simply hit the, sorry, a bit ahead. We would like to first modify, then to create a new one. So when we are modifying one, and that's a thing you can do for any workflow in your system, like you can see now with a special PDF scanner. So what you can do here, there are some limited options, but really powerful one. The first one is an option to enable or disable the OCR processing. Like I said, the engine is part of your application, so files that are processed through it are not uploaded anywhere to some other applications, they are staying on your mobile device. When it comes to the language of your OCR, the system will automatically detect it from the settings of your phone, but of course you're also able to modify that. There's one last option, and that's the voice command. Because sometimes I just do not want to, again, open the application and try to look for the option I would like to use. That way, I can use my Google Assistant or Siri, for which I will prepare a special command, and then I would say like, hey Google, open this app or this option, and it will start using that option. So the application will just pop up, opening the screen when you can scan your document using your camera, then process it in OCR and save it. Simple as that. So now, the topic for which I was so happy to show you that I'll just skip one topic almost, and that's the option to create a new scan button. Like I said, by hitting the plus icon, which is marked as the red one here, it will first let me to create the look. So basically design the look of the application by selecting an icon, its color, and by providing its name. Again, to make it simple, we just do not want to annoy your user by too many options. Once we're finished with the design of the look, we can focus on the scan destination and some basic parameters. Starting first with the scan storage or the place where it should be saved. So let's click on that. And as you can see, it gives you a large variety of options. So that's the My Phone, that is your email, the cloud storages, the USB in case that you are on the device, or you can just copy the document or simply share it as a link with your coworkers. Important thing is that before you will select any option, you should look for the small icons next to them, icons that are indicating where these options will be available, because some of them are reserved only for the device, while others are reserved only for your mobile application. So what I'll do now, I'll select the OneDrive. Again, when it comes to the cloud storages, there are additional options. So I can just use the first option, that it will save it into the default MyQ Scans folder. Or as you can see, it allows me to select or even create any folder within my OneDrive and save it there. Or last one, it will always ask me after the actual scanning. So when we have selected where it would be done, the next part are the parameters like the resolution, formats, size, scan size. Simply, it's up to me, up to user, if I will define those or not. The thing is, if I will not do it, the result may differ based on the available settings on each machine, because each machine might be using different options, different settings. So option default will actually use the defaults of the machine where I'm logged in now. So much better if you're expecting to have the same output every time, as just to define some very basic parameters, like I said, simply here from the screen. And the same way like for the scan via PDF, you can create your voice commands to be able to really open the action immediately directly from the phone without opening the MyQ Roger app. When you're done with that, there are two possible outputs again. So you can either execute it immediately and start scanning, or you can save it for later, and that way your button becomes one of your new favorite, appearing at the top of the list. And logically not on the list also of your mobile phone, but if it's an option that can work also on your MFD, it will appear as a favorite one on your MFD as well. An important thing is, whenever I will scan, like I said before, the button will automatically appear as a new recent action, allowing you to create a slightly modified copy of what you have used before. Before we will now jump for the device application, one last thing I would like to really highlight as a feature of the MyQ mobile application, and that's the mobile scanning and OCR. That's the special actions we've been modifying a few minutes ago. This option has been designed for the people that are always on traveling somewhere, and they would like to get a copy of some documents they have got on the convention. So it could be some kind of a leaflet, or if I'm a traveling sales guy and I've invited my partner for dinner or lunch, I just need a copy of the receipt for my payment. This application actually helps you to do that easily, so you don't have to really worry about these originals because you get a digitized copy into the system. So let me show you how that works. What I'll do, again, press the login button and start scanning with my phone. Again, if you don't want to do it this way, and if you've defined the voice command, you can just call that and start scanning immediately. Then I'll get the original, scanning, using the camera of my phone. Wait till it's processed because I've got the OCR engine activated. Of course, you can scan on multiple pages, not just one like I did, but this is a basic demonstration. Then before I will save it, I can of course change its name and send it to one of the options I've got here. So let's put it on my OneDrive again. And what I would like to do now, I would like to create a folder, simply for the reason to have everything perfectly organized. So let's say that was a trip to US. So I will just click on this button, create a new folder, which could be called Business Trip US, and save the folder, the file there. So that's just one part of the MyQ OCR and scanning from the mobile. The other part, and that's actually touching the OCR, and that is that, let's imagine that's been a long business trip and I was traveling on a lot of locations, and now I just need to print that receipt. But I do not remember how I named it and to which folder I have saved it. So what can I do? I remember, for example, let's say a name of the restaurant from which the receipt was given. So what I'll do is just use the search field here in the application in my OneDrive and use that string. Let's say it could be the name of the restaurant. Here in my example, I'm using a name of a character for Roger. That's Bessie. And based on that, the system will automatically find it, as you can see when I will click on preview. The reason for that is that as the file has been processed by the OCR engine, it has additional layers with all the details, with all the editable and searchable text. And when you are searching using the MyQ mobile application, it does not only search it based on the name of the file, but also going through the contents, allowing you to easily find the things you have scanned. Next up, so now let's look at the MFD application and the navigation through it. Like I said, the second concept I wanted to talk about is a concept when I'm focusing on users that are working on their device. So they do not have the option of use a mobile phone. The important thing is, even if you are using a mobile phone, all these options are of course available to you as well. You just have to pass control to the device. So what we have here, starting here with the panel when you are logged in. As you can see at the top, there are jobs for printing. So basically, the design is identical to the design of your mobile application, with the print jobs at the top and the scanning and copy workflows at the bottom. You can simply initiate the scan by tapping on any of those buttons, or just if you press and hold, you are able to change the parameters, simply giving you the additional option to modify parameters based on the specific settings of that machine. Logically, the mobile application only gives you some most common options, while if you are on a machine, you can get additional details, and this is the way to set them. Later, you can just use one of the recent actions using these options and make it your favorite one. To work with the print jobs, yeah, same like on a mobile app. I'll just select them and use either the print icon here, or I can just swipe to the right to print it, or swipe to the right left to delete it. Or if there are all jobs that should be printed, I'll hit print all, and all of them will come to my machine and will be printed. When it comes to the jobs that will appear on this list, that's another story, because that could be jobs that you have sent directly using your drivers. That could be jobs from a cloud storages. So if you've connected to OneDrive or Google Drive and put some job into the queue, you can just have them here in this list. Or it could be a file uploaded from the phone. But let's say I have forgotten something. There's another file I have not yet sent using any of these options. And for that reason, as you can see, you can directly browse your connected cloud storages, so your OneDrive or Google Drive. I can just go there and then swipe to the right, to the top, or to bottom, open folders and subfolders to find the file I have forgotten to send into the print. And that way, again, by swiping to the right, I can get it instantly to my machine and release it there. Same thing then applies to scanning, because as I said, we can browse through folders and subfolders. So if you open one, like here the apps for example, the button which previously was marked as print all has automatically changed into scanned here, allowing you to simply scan the document directly into that folder. So whatever original was now on the glass or in the scan unit, it will be automatically scanned based on the parameters you've defined here, and it will be scanned into the folder of your OneDrive or Google Drive. The last option available here will then be the Microsoft Universal Print. Like I said at the beginning, your MFD can be synchronized with your MS Universal Print, specifically with your own account. So all the jobs that you have there can automatically appear on the machine and you can immediately release them. And as we are talking about users that do not have the option of using the mobile application, there are some additional options they can use simply to print using drivers. So let's talk about the local spooling options. The first one is the device spooling. So let's say that the device itself only uses the tenant for authentication and reporting, while all the print jobs are sent using standard drivers with just slightly modified port settings to the device itself, where the device will take them and store them to encrypted hard drive or SSD. The job can stay there and wait till the user will authenticate and release it. An important thing is when it's done, the device itself will just generate a metadata file that is sent to your tenant, and that way can also be available on your mobile phone. So if you're on a mobile, you can simply see the jobs that are stored locally on that device. But that are not all the advantages of this feature, because another one is that the device itself is able to share the jobs with other devices within the same subnet. So basically, devices of the same type of the system can simply share the jobs, and not only jobs, but also the user details. Why the user details? The thing is, sometimes it may happen that the connection to the cloud is interrupted, and you will be left with an unworking solution. But that cannot happen if you are using MyQ Roger with the device pooling, because it offers a failover offline mode where the system automatically works the way that it remembers who you are when you used it for the last time, and that way it knows who you are. You can come to machine, authenticate, and get the print jobs. And even if you will come to a machine that doesn't know you, the device automatically gets the data from other machines within the same subnet. So it gets your print jobs and it can let you in if other of the machines knows you. Another option, again for the local spooling, is then the already mentioned MyQ Roger client. MyQ Roger client is an application that allows you to print from your device. And when I mean device, I mean from your laptop or from your hardware computer directly to the machine again. Another advantage of this application, comparing it to the previous option, is that way it can be used on a computer where it's not possible to detect the owner of the print job easily, or if the computer is shared by many users. The application simply allows you to authenticate, and that way whoever is there can automatically print. Now to deploy it, you can either use the domain policies, but as we are in the cloud, the better way would be to use Microsoft Intune to get the applications to your devices. The only thing then the user has to do is to authenticate using their MS Azure AD account, and from that moment they can start using it. Just using a standard drivers, with the difference that everything will be printed to localhost where the application takes it, sends the metadata into the cloud, and then when you are authenticated on a device, simply the tenant will give the information to the device so you can release all the print jobs. And that will be the option of how the users can print when they are working without a mobile device. Now, when it comes to MyQ Roger, there's one last thing we have not yet mentioned, and that is the accounting and reporting. Simply the same way as any other printing solution, we are providing details about our devices, about how much it costs you, how much your users have printed, how your devices are used. So first, we will start with a definition of a price list. So as you can see, it's pretty identical to MyQ X. Simply, you can define a price per printing, copying, scanning, and faxing. And on top of that, there is an option to define a special price per used sheet of a paper. That price list is then automatically assigned to all new devices, so you don't have to bother and you don't have to really do it manually. Later, when you will look at the overview of all your devices, you can see their statuses, status of their toners, and options that are used for authentication on these devices and their counters. When it comes to the actual reporting, there are two available levels. Logically, there's the admin level reports via the Tenant Web UI, when you can generate the user and device level reports. The second level is then the personal one, where every user can connect using a mobile application and then check the month and then look at the jobs or even last used devices. So basically every user using a mobile app knows what they've been printing and how much it cost them. And that pretty much summarizes the introduction of MyQ Roger. There are a few more things I would like to share with you. And the first one is the target audience. Now, I don't want to spend much time on this slide, but I just would like to, direct you the way to customers that might benefit from MyQ Roger the most. Because like I said, this is not MyQ X in the cloud. It's a MyQ Roger, a completely different project, completely different thing that has a different audience and different users with different way of use. So what would be the best way to offer MyQ Roger? And like I said, this is just a hint. It does not cover everything. It's just, like I said, very brief stuff. So, ideal way. Imagine a company where server is a root word. Basically, they do not want to have any additional hardware when it comes to printing on-site. So the only thing that should be there are the actual MFDs and users and the devices they're using. Probably such a company will have the whole IT infrastructure outsourced. So for these, the MyQ is actually the best solution with its high level of digitization. Companies that simply do not want to have everything on site, but instead of that, prefer the outsourced services. Also, we're talking about customers that are focusing really on scanning and resiliency and adaptability. They don't want to be limited by their hardware. Another customer which might really benefit from that, basically talking about people which are focusing on high availability of data. So imagine people that are traveling a lot, the sales guys, insurance companies, pretty much anyone who travels a lot and must have access to their data from whenever they are. So the only thing they will have to do is just open the mobile app and they can start managing everything. They can come to the machine at the airport, simply scan the QR code and start using it, despite the thing that device it's not there. So basically they are completely hardware independent. They can work from whenever they are. And the last example I've got here as let's say, a customer or environment with a high user fluctuation. People that are just sharing all the resources. Simply, it could be some shared office. It could be a library. Place where you will come, you will do your work, and you'll leave and never return. For these, MyQ Roger is the best option because you can simply download the app, register, do your job, pay for it, and you can go whenever you want. And that's actually the last thing I would like to mention when it comes to that, because what I've mentioned here are the resource sharing. And let's now imagine how it could be used in the future. So potentially, what could be the future of printing using MyQ Roger? And I would like to be really creative and, I want you to imagine how this whole thing may look like. So what it will be. Imagine that you are a user in a town when you have not been before. and you need to print something quickly, some notes for your meeting, or like I said, you are a service guy who's just fixed something at a customer and they just need the papers to be signed. What they'll do, because they cannot carry their printer, let's imagine they will just open the app. And the way it works, for example, for shared scooters or for shared cars, it will just show you where the closest machines are, what type of machine is that, or how much it will cost you to use them. And you can simply go there and release the print job. And so what I want you is to imagine all the thousands of people that might need to want print, copy, and scan. And at the same time, they don't need the machine at all, because they can simply just come to the machine of somebody else, do their job, pay for it, and leave. So that's just an idea to think about. And that also covers my whole presentation. So I just would like to now progress into a QA session where if you've got any questions, please feel free to use the QA session, which is probably in the top right corner of the screen, to just send it to me and I will try to answer as many questions as possible. In the meantime, for those of you who do not have any question, I would have a little suggestion. Let's scan one of the QR codes at the top of my screen, and you can then easily follow the guide below, and you can start using your MyQ Roger. You can simply try it right now based on what you have seen as part of my presentation. So you can simply connect to it, connect your cloud storage, and manage your documents. Of course, there's the optional point number 6. Then later, when you will have the machine with the application ready, you can just scan the QR code and use also the options there. But now it's time for your questions. For now, I would like to thank you for joining us today, and I'll hope that we will either meet on another webinar in the future, or we will meet on some Roger project when we will install it at your office and later at your customer. So thank you for being Thank you for being here with us today, and see you next time.